Jacob Diaz improving to 3-2 over the weekend. Big win, TKO finish, doctor stoppage, but we still call that a TKO finish. Jacob, you're back in the win column. How's it feel?
Feels good, man. Feels good. Not enough at all, but it feels good, man. It's been too long. Uh, had a couple tough fights last year, man, and just a lot of stuff go on that kept me out of the cage. A fractured elbow, the death of my grandfather, who this last fight was for. Um, some more personal stuff. But just you know how it is. Thing after thing keeps you out of the cage, and I just feel good, man. I felt good. I worked hard with my new gym over at Gocha, my new coaches, my new teammates pushed me really hard, kept my chin down. I gained some weight, so I had to go up a weight class for this fight. But it felt good, man. God is good. He gave me everything I needed. I got in the cage, and I was able to be able to utilize everything that I've learned over at my new gym and some of the stuff I learned over at my old gym to go out there and get a dominant performance the way I did.
So that's good to hear. I imagine, there's a lot we have to talk about that we'll get to, of course, but I imagine that's the last one at 170. I'm assuming you're 155 from here on out.
I mean, it depends. It depends how soon.
Okay.
Um, I want to be active. 3-2 is not a good record, man, and I'm not gonna sugarcoat it and say that it is. But I'm also not gonna sit here and tell you there are guys who are 5-0, 6-0, 7-0, who I can't beat tomorrow. Um, I've never been the type to cherry pick fights. I've never been the type to deny fights. I've never been the type to run away from challenges. Funny enough, my manager says that we might need to be a little smarter now, but we'll see about it. I want to be active. I'm trying to get to the UFC. I'm trying to leave a legacy for future family, for my family now, for my past family. I'm trying to get something started. So I can't settle at 3-2. Take some time. I've already been offered 5, 6 fights all over the country. So one even out of the country. So we're gonna see what matchup we like, what schedule we like, and if it's at 170, it's at 170. If it's at 155 pounds, it's at 155. Fuck it. If it's at 185, I like Big Macs. So
So now, we have a lot to cover, of course, because we haven't. I mean, we talked, but obviously we haven't talked in this manner in a
yeah,
while, and a lot has gone on. So I mean, let's start with the gym. You're over at Goat Shed now. This was your first fight with Goat Shed.
yeah.
What's the environment like there? What's been training with them like?
I was a little hesitant to make this move, as some people who may follow my career would know, because of a certain guy fighter who used to train over at Goat Shed. But he's been banned from the gym and is who knows what he's doing. But the environment there is not what you think it is, man. It's fun and it's a little more rowdy than the usual gym, but it's heads down, fucking technique, and drilling, and then you know, spar hard and record sometimes. But for the most part, man, it's very technical work. We got Azim, we got Mike Ritchie, former UFC, Bellator, PFL fighter. We got Salman, one of the best striking coaches I know. We got Mango on the pads, fixing technique. We got, Azim's jiu-jitsu and grappling and systems are very technical, man, and it's good work. I got crazy training partners. There is no restaurant. Chris Alvidrez just slaughtered a 7-0 prospect on the Contender Series. I got CJ Brandt, who's 7-2
Yeah.
also. I got Gene Drick, one of the most like hard hitting guys I've ever met from Aruba. I got Shazay, the Karate Combat World Champion, dude. I could just go on. I got Ryan Hughes, like fucking Richie Savage was coming by a lot. Arturo, even the fucking flyweights, Roy Bird and Loxby and Gus. Like it doesn't matter who I'm going with. There's no rest around. All of these people I'm learning from. I'm pulling information from, and it's a good environment, man. If I'm lost, if someone's teaching me something, someone's helping me with something, someone's helping you cut weight, someone's helping you get sharper, get better every day, and it's contagious over there. One guy wins a fight, next week two more wins, next week another win, and it's just you don't want to be the guy to break that streak, and
Hmm.
it's just a good energy, man. It's very business oriented, but it's electric over there, so I like it. I think it suits me. A little more camera,
Yeah.
a little more flashy, and I like it. I get to blow a couple more kisses. So
Well, you know what? One thing I've said, people have their thoughts about Asim, but no matter what, no one can say that he doesn't understand the fight game. I think his philosophy in that sense, he's a step ahead of everyone else.
yes,
Now, as far as technically, because I've watched all your fights, I've been in person for several of your fights, of course. Um, no jumping the gilly this fight. Was that something you talked about with your team, or was that something you decided
he didn't grab
maybe
my
not?
legs.
That's true. There was like zero grappling.
uh, that was planned. He's Augustus D'Angelo, game opponent. Shout out if he's watching this. Um, Black belt in jujitsu, and not like a black belt, like a black belt. Like he's got very good grappling. Um, Small ass cage too.
I was
Uh,
gonna ask. It looked very small.
Small cage, but Combat Night knows what they're doing. It's fun. It's for a reason. It's what the people want to see. We give them a show, right? Uh,
Mhm.
Game plan. Mike Ritchie's probably taking on my lead, like my head coach role right now. He's the one who had me keeping that distance, using my kicks, keeping that left arm posted, making sure that there was not going to be a crash in for a takedown. His corner was calling for takedowns. So like we prepared the takedown defense, and yes, a part of that game plan was do not jump the guillotine under any circumstance. Uh, who knows what would have happened? I think I could have got it, but I mean, here or there. But yeah, man, we worked on it and kept our distance, followed the game plan, and felt sharp, man. Felt sharp.
Now I've got to ask because there is something I've of course watched you fight a couple of times. You throw a teep like a front kick that it's almost like a dirty front kick because you kind of throw toes to the face on that teep, which is obviously not illegal. But is that like intentional?
So that's called a crescent kick. That's when, similar to a teep, you raise the knee, but instead of going straight up, you turn um, your from your kneecap down, your shin and foot area, inwards, and you snap up. Uh, it could be foot to the face smack. It could be shin to the face. And I've been throwing it since I was an amateur, and that's
Yeah.
been something that I've repetition, 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 and I don't think any of my opponents have ever taken it seriously until it hits them right in the face. Um, Off the dome, I could tell you I've hit at least seven of my opponents with that kick. And this was just the first time it happened to cut someone open. That's what caused his eye to start swelling. And it's tricky, man, because you set it up different ways. Obviously, I'm not going to go into a seminar right now, but like it's tricky. And I don't think anyone could throw that kick the way I could throw that kick. And I like it, man. I try not to abuse it, but sometimes it's just the read isn't there. And it's a whole system that goes into other kicks. And you know I love it, man. I love it, and I know it looks a little goofy and a lot of people think that it won't work, but stand in front of it and find out, right?
Well, it's just something I've noticed because I know you throw it a lot, and in this fight. You had a lot of success with it, and I don't really see it in MMA a bunch.
I don't see
Some
it ever
guys throw it, but
anywhere.
yeah, I can't off the top of my head. I can't think of a fighter that's throwing that consistently or at all. Really. Now, want to talk about D'Angelo some? That guy, he can take a hit because you were landing, and he never he did not quit. It was stopped
No.
by the doctor.
Yeah,
So I
man.
mean, what I
Uh,
mean, what was going through your head there?
not for nothing, man. I did a lot of research and I saw some fights, and I mean, granted, these are old fights. I've had fights where I've kind of, you know, like the Canada fight, I mentally checked out and didn't want to be in there, and you could tell. Like I just kind of showed up and waited for it to be over. He respectfully had some fights like that as well. Um, but I didn't want to go into there thinking like, oh, a couple times I tag him, he's just gonna fall. Because there are other fights where he'll show up, boom, 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 and then he'll rocket an overhand, and I saw him like drop a dude like that, and he's got power. He's a fucking big dude, you know. Like I knew he had power in those shots. Obviously, look at my eyes. Um, but yeah, no, there was no quitting him that night, and I think I saw it in his eyes at the weigh-in, and that's when it really clicked that like I'm gonna have to turn out his lights. And then at some point in the first round, when I saw that eye starting to swell, but that other eye had nothing, no fear in it, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna have to. And I think respectfully, I was on my way there to getting those
Hmm.
lights turned off. But opponents not enemies. I'm happy. I know he's got a daughter, he's got a family, he's got a gym, he's got a lot of stuff going on for him. I'm happy that he was able to leave the cage safe to his family the same way I was, and that no one got seriously injured. But yeah, man, I think that was the best version of him that's ever showed up. But I think right now is my time, and I thank him for taking the fight. And I'm sure when he comes back and he fights again, he's gonna be a problem for someone else. But it was just my night, and he did look strong though. He felt strong. He hits like a fucking truck, and there was no quit in him. So that's my
Yeah,
thoughts on that. Yeah.
yeah. And I, for the record, for what it's worth, I do think it looked like you were on the way there, as well. But I mean, yeah, he's a game opponent. Now, as far as the overall card, obviously, the co-main event that night, a former teammate of yours, Luis Hernandez. I know you two are still cool, and
Yeah,
obviously,
yeah, yeah. We were talking in the back.
yeah.
Not the
I mean,
way.
so I'm gonna talk to him about his fight because I can say without a doubt, I've also watched all of Lewis's fights from amateur to now. That was the craziest fight he's ever been in. Um, but I mean, obviously, I assume you talked with him. You talked with Ray. What was it like chatting with them? And both catching wins on the same night.
It was good, man. I had never fought on the same card with Lewis before. It was cool seeing him on the weigh-in. It was cool, kind of, chopping it up at the weigh-in and in the back and wishing each other good luck. And you know, there's no animosity there. I have nothing but love in my heart for all the guys in my old gym, coaches as well. Ray is may not be my immediate coach right now, but he's always gonna be like a life coach. I'll still call him if I need some advice. Great man, taught me a lot of life lessons. And Lewis, man, it's fine, man. Like it was awesome. It was nostalgic. You miss some of the friends you make, and I definitely think that those friendships are not one that you'll find at any gym. Like those memories that I'll be eternally grateful for with all of those guys. Marcus Loretta, um, all of them, man. That I'm never gonna be able to recreate, and that's fine. It's business, and I make some friends here. I'll make some friends there, but I'm here to train, and I like where I'm at now, and I like the work I'm getting now, and I'm sure if you talk to me in a couple years, we'll see. I'll have some stories with some new friends, but it was good, man. It was good being able to talk to Lewis. Lewis is a fucking dog.
Yeah,
You know, they don't make him like him no more, man. He had some adversity and he fucking looked it. looked it in the face, and he made it happen, man. And you know, I think Sean Shelby and Dana White are eating shit by not signing this guy already. And the fact that he got dudded on the Contender is insane. And it's probably time for him to go into the UFC right away. If not, there's they're just wasting time, man. Because that guy's a star in the making, and I know that for a fact. So
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I said I'll talk with Lewis later this week, but I have to talk with him about it because I did not understand how he didn't get a call. And to be completely honest, there were guys. I think the UFC looks for two things, right? They look for attention and ability.
yeah,
He's what at the moment he was 11-0 in his combined career. 10 of those fights, I believe, hadn't left the first round. He's never been to a decision in his career, and he had that viral moment with Sean Strickland. He's the reason Strickland got suspended, and he had his viral 3-second head kick KO.
at 1 second.
1 second. I mean, it was immediate. So I'm like looking at both of those, and I'm like, well, he has the attention. He clearly has the ability. He's beat some great opponents. I wasn't understanding why, and there were definitely people on the Contender Series, frankly, at middleweight and welterweight, whichever one he would fight at, that didn't have either of those categories built up as much as him. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes for Lewis.
Yeah, I mean, it's a matter of time, man. He's not
Yeah.
gonna.
Now, obviously, you mentioned your grandfather and that this fight was for your grandfather. Can you just share a little bit about how much that meant and how much that motivated you preparing for this?
Man, that meant the world, man. My grandfather and I have been very close from a very young age. I always felt like it went my grandmother to my brother and me to my grandfather, right? That's just kind of how it worked out. And he would take me outside, man. He taught me, he taught me how to fish, taught me how to ride a bike, taught me how to do math. He would sit with me because I was a picky eater. And, my grandmother wouldn't let me leave the table until I ate my food. Like, you have to sit there for hours. And if I was there for hours, he'd be there for hours. And that's just kind of the relationship we had. And, I would get in the car and he had this CD that had "Run Around Sue" on it, which is the song I walked out to, and he would play it a lot. And I will never forget that when the iPhones and stuff started getting big, I showed him first how they find it on YouTube, and that was like, oh my god, we can listen to it like on demand now, and then Spotify, and then it was just something that I could just pull out, and up until forever, until he had the stroke, it was something that if we would talk about it, and we would go out to, as a young adult, we would go out to eat once a week, once every 2 weeks. You try, and like it was just a relationship that I maintained, and it was something that I held near in my heart. And when I started MMA, and everyone was like, "No, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it." I love my mom. My mom is my best friend. Anyone who knows me knows that, and she is my number one ride or die. Before I even sign a contract, if I'm fighting in a different state, her ticket is booked. But when I started fighting, she was like, "Are you fucking crazy? No." And when in a family full of everyone saying no, he looked at me and he said, "Yes, hell yeah, you're gonna do great." And he was a supporter from the get. And I'll never forget, man. I have all my belts here. Um, Bringing him that first belt, the look on his face, man. And then I was blessed enough to be able to do that 3 times, bring him 3 belts. And there's a picture of him with all three, him and I with all 3 belts, man. And just the pride he took in me and the joy that I felt with that was just something irreplaceable. And that support was something that I guess you take for granted, right?
Mhm.
And when he did pass away, because it was sudden, he was healthy, 79, healthy. I'm cleaning, stuff out the way you do, and I'm looking at his calendar. He was very meticulous, and He would always pay attention, and he would write everything down, right? And I told him uh, before I went on a trip in December. It's funny. The last time I think I ever saw him in person, I told him I might be fighting February 23rd, right? And he goes to his calendar, which he had next to his computer, and I guess he writes it down. I didn't think anything of it. The fight never even happened. It was just something I told him. Like, oh, by the way, just keep you in the loop. I might. Like, I'm in talks, which any of my fighters out there know how preliminary that is. Um, Whenever I go on the trip, he has the strokes. We fly back early. Couple months or a month and change later, he passes away. I'm going through, his calendar, and I'm just looking at stuff, and I get to that February. I don't know what possessed me to go through the calendar and start reading, but it showed um it showed on February 23rd Jake's fight, and that really got to me, and I remember crying in there, and that's when it clicked to me that the last fight he ever saw was the fight in Indiana where I got slept with the anaconda, and that really stung, in like in a very selfish way of for me, because I was like, damn, the last fight my grandfather ever saw was alive to see. I got slept, and then it took some soul searching and some long conversations with myself and Jesus, and late at night to realize that he's watching over me all the time, and that I got to use that and let it turn into something else. And I did, man, and I trained hard, and I have his hat here, and I have his picture here, and he there was a lot of little tributes to him. The song "Run Around Sue" was the
Mhm.
walkout, and in my opinion, got the best ovation of the night, and the crowd, amped up because it wasn't a typical basic rap song, and the shorts were yellow. His favorite color was yellow, and they had the camo print. He loved the army movies and western movies, and that's why my tracksuit for this fight was Kill Bill ish with a little bit of yellow, and there was a lot of little tributes to him, man, and it was good. Um, I just hope that he was watching down, and that if he could say anything now, I just hope that what I did was enough just to put a smile on his face, maybe make him a little proud. But
Well,
yeah, man, it meant a lot. And after the fight, you could tell too. I went, I gave my mom a hug and had a little breakdown right there. But
yeah.
it was what it needed to be, man.
Well, I'm glad you were able to get that win in his memory. I see everything you did seems to be very intentional with that.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely happy for you in that sense. And obviously, you have my
Uh,
condolences there. So, hey, man, congrats on the win and congrats on getting the win for your grandfather's memory. Um, Before we wrap this up, I wanted to ask what's next for you?
Like I said, man, that was one fight. He's not
Mhm.
done watching. I'm not done fighting. I got a family who's very supportive of me. I got my sponsors. Shout out Zavel. Shout out Clinch Mafia. Kevin. Shout
Hey,
out.
Kevin, shout out Clinch Mafia. He's not a
Shout
sponsor
out
here, but
Kevin.
shout out Clinch Mafia.
Shout out Kevin. And shout out Zavel for all your recovery needs.
And you know what?
Um,
Kevin made my logo, so he's basically a sponsor.
a forever sponsor.
Yes,
Uh, you
forever
know,
sponsor.
I got Yog too. I got the Yog gloves here, man. Shout out the sponsors. Shout out Goat Shed. Shout out my family. Shout out my mom, my sister, man. You know, everyone, man. Everyone, my grandmother, everyone who watches and believes in me, my friends, everyone who went to the fights. LCA, my management company, man. But we're not done, man. We're just getting started. We're 3-2. Next will be 4-2, 5-2, 6-2. I want to be active. I want to get one more in before the end of the year. Another finish, man. I'm not trying to go all 3 rounds. We don't get paid by the hour. Fighting fucking hurts, man. Um, so I'm gonna look. We'll weigh options. We'll weigh paychecks. Money talks. Bullshit walks. we'll see where we travel to next. If we gotta go on a plane, we go on a plane. If we gotta drive, we drive. If it's my backyard again, it's my backyard again, man. But I do it for my people who believe in me, man. And I feel like I got my team on my back, and I'm ready to go, man. I'm excited, and I know I can make a run at this thing. Um, if Lucas Rosa ever wants to fight again, man, respectfully, I don't think you're as good as I am. Um, I think that you have cherry picked your fights. I think you're a cool guy, and I think you're a good fighter. I don't think you're a 7-0 fighter. And if you want to do a 155, you give me some time, I'll make that weight. And I'd like to take that O away, man. So this might be the nicest call out you'll ever get, but that's the fight I want. So if I got to take another fight in between, I'll be 4-2, and he'll still be 7-0. So that's the fight I want on the future. If it's in West Palm in his backyard, I'll do it in his backyard. If it's in Miami in my backyard, if I gotta go to fucking Boston to do it, I'll do it. But that's a fight I want. That's the only name I really know of right now that's a matchup that I've been eyeing for a while. But besides that, I want to be active, man. So
All right. Well, obviously we're gonna talk more as you take more and more fights, and if that Rosa fights happens, I will absolutely be sat for that. I might try and make it down for that because I or up wherever it would be, but I would love to see that one in person. Everyone, make sure you follow Jacob at JHD_MMA on Instagram. That is it, right? JHD_MMA.
come on,
That's off
Jared.
the that's
Yeah,
off the
that's off
dome.
the dome, Jared.
That's off the dome.
Thanks.
All right, Jacob. Thank you so much for joining me.